All right, I think we're set. I think we have a quorum, so I'll read the statement that I need to read here. Tonight's meeting is being convened in compliance with Governor Cuomo's executive orders, which suspend certain provisions of open meetings law to allow municipal boards to convene meetings via video conferencing without in-person attendance by the public. The public has been provided with the ability to view, hear, and participate in the meeting, and a transcript of the meeting will be provided at a later date. The link to the live stream of the meeting has been provided to the public, and a video of the meeting will be made available on public access television, as well as a link on the town's website. Further, all submission materials and agendas are available to be viewed on the town's website. So there's a quorum of board members present this evening, so let's bring the meeting to order. And our first matter is a public hearing. This is for Meadow Hill Subdivision Lot 2. This is an application for a site development plan approval, wetlands and stormwater permits. We last heard on September 8th. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, I think we can do this all in favor, right? And move forward on this motion. So, Alan, why don't you bring us up to date on any kind of changes? I think it's chiefly dealings between you and Bob in terms of satisfying the last couple of remnants of information. And I think Dennis may need to weigh in on a couple of landscaping issues, and then I think we're pretty well set from our standpoint.
Sure. Maybe what I will do, if you'd like, just to show the project in context, if I might.
Please.
Mr. Chairman, can I share a screen?
Yep, thank you.
Hopefully this will work. You can see the screen. I'll just say that lot number 2 is the, can you see the screen, Dennis?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, lot number 2 is the Meadow Hill subdivision, I'll just briefly say, is the 5-lot subdivision that was created back in 2004, actually. 3 of the lots are built. That's lot 3, lot 4, and lot 5. This concerns lot number 2, which is the 5.2 acre easternmost portion of the property. Maybe what I could do is just, as I said, it's the 5.256 acre property, the easternmost portion of the subdivision. Within this lot, there are 2 stormwater basins, stormwater management basin number 1 and stormwater management basin number 2. I'll just briefly go through that. The access is obtained by Meadow Hill Way. That's a long cul-de-sac road that extends to North Place. The house is being constructed on essentially what's the mown lawn area of the property. And it does connect to public sewer and public water. There's existing sanitary sewer through lot number 1 and partly in lot number 3, and this house will connect to it. And there's public water available in Meadow Hill Way, and it's going to connect to it too. And the runoff, I'll just say the runoff from the lot will all be conveyed into stormwater management basin number 2. There is an existing swale that will be relocated slightly to the north in order to accommodate the development of the lot. But the runoff will continue as it does presently. The runoff from the cul-de-sac and a portion of lot 1 will continue to be discharged into the stormwater management basin. And I'll just say also that the building coverage and development coverage of what is being proposed is less than what was approved in 2014. With regard to the, I don't know, Bob, if you want to talk about it, or maybe I'll just go through your comments. You had a few comments on items that need to be completed. But anyway, that's essentially what's being proposed. I know some of the comments were that a permit is required in order to connect to the sanitary sewer, and it has to be tested. That's the existing force main has to be tested. We'll place that note on the plan and make sure it is done. There will also be a filing under general permit the current 2020 general permit for stormwater runoff from construction activities. In addition, we will need a drainage, swale, and maintenance and inspection declaration form for the proposed northern swale, as discussed in the memorandum or the letter that was submitted. It is not necessary to have that southern swale on this property anymore. It was really done in order to keep the amount of development in this drainage area below 20%. Right now, it's sitting around 14%. And so, because of one of the provisions of the watershed regulations, says that if the amount of impervious surface is greater than 20% and you are not doing infiltration, you have to have two dissimilar stormwater management practices in series. And so since this drainage area to stormwater managed basin number 2 is less than 20% impervious, especially because the development coverage is so much less now on lot number 2 than it was previously. It is not necessary to have that southern swale, but we will provide the drainage, swale maintenance and inspection declaration form for the northern swale that we will do. And we will provide the cut and fill volumes as requested. And I believe that was basically it, unless I missed something. But I think those are the principal items that were requested. Some of it is just like permit applications at the time we start constructing the lot.
Okay. Bob, did you have anything that you would like to add or emphasize?
Alan covered them quite well. All the items I did have, if they weren't done, I would have no objection to those items being placed in the resolution as conditions of approval, but Alan did go over them quite succinctly. And I have no objection to them being in the resolution if the planning board decides so.
Great. Do we have a construction sequence? I presume that all this work would be done before construction on the home would begin. Is that documented in the file?
There is a construction sequence on one of the on this drawing here on C211. What were you looking to ask specifically, Mr. Chairman?
Just whether or not all this work, this infrastructure work for drainage and stormwater would be basically completed before you start construction on the home.
Oh, I will confirm that it will be. That
Okay.
the drainage and construction work, mainly the relocation of the swale, will be completed up front. I will make sure that is in there.
Okay.
So we can add that as a condition just to be sure.
Okay.
I have a very minor question,
Sure.
just to prove that I read some document. Alan, in your on the 6th page of what you sent in,
Yeah.
there's a response where you say the plans have been updated to indicate a 2-foot type K copper pipe.
Oh, it's 2-inch. I'm sorry.
Okay, just wanted to make sure
Oh, yeah,
everybody's
that's a
clear on
typo.
that.
No, we're not running a water main that's going to serve half the town of Newcastle.
I got excited that maybe you were.
Oh, no. I apologize for that. That is clearly a typo.
Yes, that's what I thought too.
I'd
Yes.
really be
Thank you for
excited-
picking that up.
I'd really be excited if it was a 2-foot copper pipe.
That'd be quite amazing.
That would be quite expensive.
But expensive.
Do
Sorry.
we have and this might dovetail into Dennis's comments. Do we have an update in terms of what you're doing on this deer fencing? Last time we talked, it was going to be less extensive than what we saw on the plan. And what is the current thinking? It looks like somewhere in your letter also, Alan, you mentioned that there will be some deer fencing, but it was going to be, I think, less than what we looked at before.
Yeah, we haven't yet finalized it, but the idea was to remove the deer fencing from around the closest portion of lot number 2, like to the rear of lot number 2. Maybe I can share again. Just sort of, maybe that will help. The idea was to remove the deer fencing from the rear of lot number 2 in this area here, but retain it from this area south, towards what currently is on the east side of Stormwater Management Basin number 1. And the rest of it would be done, actually, the trees themselves that have been planted are really above browse height already. Some of the shrubs will need some protection, and that we discussed probably doing with continual spraying, probably, but really we haven't submitted something yet for a plan to specify that exactly. But I think that's probably how it will be. It'll probably be, I'll call it aggressive spraying to ensure that there is minimal browse of the shrubs. These trees are kind of above browse height.
Okay. Yeah, I think you mentioned that last time, so it's good to hear what we're doing now. Okay. Dennis, did you have comments or questions? There were some issues I know that you wanted to resolve in the field with Mr. Pilch and his team.
Sure. I guess one, it looks like it's just an artifact potentially on C-204, maybe in the typo category, is south of, it looks like where you have, I guess, the 6 Winterberry, there's a 12 CA, it looks like it's floating.
Oh, yes,
And
yes.
was that supposed to be Clethra? I don't know if you meant to put that in or not, or if it's just floating. I just, just to mention it.
I will check to confirm, because there were portions of it that were actually planted. It could be that it may have already been installed, so I will confirm that.
Okay. All right. And the other, which we could discuss a little bit, is, and I remember, it's funny because when I went to investigate Lot 1, I remember removing a little bit of the tree wrapping and taking a photo and sharing it at a subsequent meeting with the Conservation Board, because I just tend to be a little bit more of a proponent of, what we used when we planted some trees at Glacier Preserve. It's more of that open mesh PVC type wrap of the tree, but it doesn't cling. It sort of keeps, like air exchange, and
Yes.
There's definitely, so you could see signs on the trees that were wrapped that there's some moisture retention, and there's little fine, almost like I call it like fissures, for lack of a better word, sort of in the bark, and it just I'm just not a big fan of retaining moisture. That's kind of what it comes down to. I just like the air exchange. So it's just another method of bark protection that obviously I think for the trees you're going to need if you're not going to have fencing. But it's just just another means and methods type discussion that at that time ready for planting. It doesn't dictate what you're planting. Everything I'm okay with that. It's just sort of how to just do some of those additional protections.
Are you saying that you find open mesh to be acceptable, or?
Yes, I prefer
Just want
that.
to be sure. Because okay, fine. Thank you. I agree, sometimes it's absolutely needed with regard to protection of the stem, if you will, of some trees.
Did we resolve the issue in connection with maintenance of the meadow versus the lawn and the lines for grading and the other for clearing? Clearing being understood that maintenance of a meadow or maintenance of a lawn would be perfectly fine. So I know that was supposed to be done in the field, I think. You guys were going to meet in the field, and then at some point, to Bob's point, he's raised it a couple times, will we have that drawn on the map and have it filed?
If I may just, I think my recollection is that was really pertaining just to lot number 1 and not on this lot.
Similar.
Oh, okay. So okay. I thought this was also subject to, the applicant wanted to keep a good portion of this as open meadow.
I think what's going to happen is the applicant will probably maintain his lawn, the rear yard here, not into the wetland buffer here, of course.
Can
Alan,
you
I
go-
think
can you
we
go to the map?
were seeing your Zoom screen. You need to
Oh, I'm
reopen
sorry.
your window. It's okay.
I apologize.
So just make sure you select those plans.
I will, sorry. Thank you for reminding me. What I was saying was that would maintain his lawn, the rear yard
Right.
property.
Mm-hmm.
Not here, that's the wetland buffer line right here, not to that point, but to here. And the rest of this, I mean, there's the subsurface chambers, which are already installed. The rest of this, probably to the swale, would be maintained as lawn. Everything else would not be touched. Up here, it won't be. There's existing vegetation here, which will stay, and it won't be touched there. So it'll really just be an area like this, which would be maintained. It's outside the wetland buffer, and it's really in close proximity to the house.
Okay, and so the wetland buffer will be basically, it will not be managed. It'll be just left to be wild and occasionally going in perhaps and taking out invasives and that sort of thing.
I think that would be reasonable.
Is
Okay.
that part of the maintenance plan?
I will make sure it's included in there.
Yep,
Thank you.
yep, thanks, Dick.
As I said, it really pertained on lot number 1, but I think we can establish that here on lot number.
Okay, fair enough. And again, if you would just coordinate with Dennis on that, then we'll be fine with it, I would think. Great. Okay. Any other comments from board members before we open it up to the public?
I saw the photo, of the house to the upper end of this page, and it looked like it's pretty well covered with the existing vegetation, so that's good.
Yeah. Yep, that was very helpful to see. Okay. Anyone else? If not, I believe we have, Carrie, we have some folks who would like to comment or ask questions. No
Sure.
problem.
If anyone who's interested in speaking, just raise your digital hand and I will open your line. Okay. Okay. We should be able to hear you. Just mute yourself.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello, this is the Moraes family. We're in lot 111 to the north, the lot that's marked formerly Slockbauer on the map. And we just wanted to say that, we really appreciate the attention to the drainage and to keeping the meadow grass tall and untouched. That drainage, obviously, any changes to it affect our lot. We've, in sort of heavy rains, we've seen some overflows in the past, and we appreciate that Alan was very quick to take care of that, and we hope it'll continue, obviously, through the construction process. And we can just reach out if we see any changes in the stormwater runoff, which would very likely happen on our property if it did not go into the wetland buffer.
Are you on North Place or DeVoe? I'm just trying to get the picture.
Our address is on DeVoe.
I see.
Our driveway leads off DeVoe, and then the house itself is almost directly to the north of this property.
Okay. Okay, I think we have that picture that was submitted to us. Your house is sort of bluish in color, blue-gray perhaps?
No, it's cedar shake.
No, I think it's cedar shingles. I don't think it's on the pictures. There's
Okay,
a fair bit of vegetation between our houses at this point, so it should be fairly well screened.
good, okay. Very good. Any other questions? Carrie, I guess we make sure we have everyone's name and address for the record, comments? Or I guess Felicia? Okay. Is there anyone else?
Is there
who would like-
anyone else who would like to speak? Just your digital hand. Okay, there's no one else right now.
Okay. Well, I think we've looked at this one fairly carefully. Is there a motion to close the public hearing at this time?
Moved.
Thank you, Dick. One night. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I guess we'll do the roll call on this one. Dick,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Eldad,
Aye.
and I'm aye. Jennifer, is there anything else that we need to do at this point before we direct staff to drop a resolution?
No, just directing a resolution.
Okay. Is there a motion to direct staff to draft a resolution with the conditions and all of the materials that we've looked at before on this application?
Motion.
Okay, second.
Second.
Very good. Roll call vote. Eldad,
Yes.
Tom,
Aye.
and Dick,
Yes.
and I'm yes, so it's 4-0. Okay, I don't know when we can, Felicia and Sabrina, do we know when we might have that ready for the applicant? Perhaps the next meeting where we have a fairly light agenda? But it's up to you guys and Jennifer to see whatever your time is.
Yeah, I'm thinking that we're probably better served putting it on the November 4th agenda, to be quite honest with you.
Okay.
You'll be entertaining the Singh resolution at that meeting as well.
Okay, fair enough. So Alan will have it, try to have it ready for you for the November 4th meeting.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'm sure that Mr. Galero would love it to be earlier, but it is what it is. I appreciate it.
Okay, very good.
Thank you
Okay,
very
thank you. Yep, thank you so much. Okay, we move now to our second item, and this is the Albano. This is a public hearing for Albano, 200 South Bedford Road. This is an application for an accessory apartment site. And again, we last heard this on September 8th. Chuck, are you there live? We had a
I'm
very
here.
fitting picture of you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start my video. There we go.
Good. So I think,
Hello.
yep, from what we can see, Sabrina, you have comments on this? I think we're in pretty good shape on it.
No, I think prior to the last meeting, Chuck was very quick to respond to the comments and has addressed all planning concerns.
Great. And Bob, did you have any outstanding concerns at this point? Have they been resolved?
Chuck has resolved them all. They just had a general one about the, oh, no, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong memo. My fault. I'm fine. He did everything up to what had to be done based on the last meeting, and I'm comfortable with what he done. Matter of fact, I don't think there's any conditions I have in the resolution. He's addressed them all.
Chuck, well done.
I was going to say, Bob, you really have to dig deeper here. This is terrible.
Great.
I almost read the wrong memo again, so. You know.
Thanks. I was looking
Almost
for-
found one, Chuck. You got to be careful here.
You're really ruining the architect's retirement fund by making this so quick.
Okay. So anyway, actually, we should have entertained a motion to open the public hearing. So I guess we should do that. So let's do that before I get yelled at by Jennifer. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay, so I guess we're now appropriate and legal. Chuck, is there anything else that you would like to add or mention? Risking defeat from the jaws of victory here?
No, I've got to keep my mouth shut. But I'm glad there'll be another affordable apartment within walking distance of town. It's going to be just what the doctor ordered.
Terrific. Okay, very good. Do we have any comments from the public on this?
If anyone is interested in speaking, just raise your digital hand. Matthew Kleinman, I'm going to open your line. You should be able to speak.
Hello.
Hello.
Yep.
Hello?
Hi. Yes, we hear you. Yep.
How you doing? My name is Matthew Kleiman. We live next door, 230 South Bedford Road. I guess we were just curious exactly what is happening. There's going to be a separate apartment, or I'm kind of new to this, so I'm just curious exactly because I know it was a single-family home originally, right?
Correct. And
So what? Go ahead.
there's some relatively modest modification to the home to accommodate an apartment, an accessory apartment in the ground floor. Chuck, do you want to just give a quick rundown of what you're doing to make, whatever changes you're doing to accommodate that application?
All right, let's see if I can open it up. Everybody see that? Mr. Kleinman, can you see that?
Yes, now I see it.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yep.
Kleinman, you live here.
Uh,
Here's the temple, here's the driveway, and you're here?
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, good. You're across the street from my son, Tony and Monica. I don't know if you've met them yet. You're pretty new, right?
We've been here for about a year and a half, and
Oh.
I think I might have met your son once.
Okay, great. Well, here's the property that obviously you know what we're talking about. But if you were to go up the driveway and go behind the house, you would see this view over here on the left. That's the basement that's there now.
Okay.
All right, and what we're doing is into that basement, we're finishing off the basement and putting in this apartment. It's a 1-bedroom apartment with a living room, laundry, and a kitchen. And it is one of the things that all single-family houses in Chappaqua can do. Actually, everybody, if they have the proper septic system and/or the, I guess it's mostly septic system, but
Gotcha.
everybody can. It's a way to look for more affordable homes for others or nannies or whatever. But it is a living accommodation. It's a whole separate apartment with its own separate rules of size and
Okay.
function. And that's what we're doing down there. And you get to it by the parking will be up at the top of the driveway, and the walkway to the apartment down and around will be around the back. And it's all happening on the north side of the Temple Drive.
Gotcha. Okay, I actually wasn't sure if it was like a 2-family home or something. I don't know what was going on. Again, I'm kind of new to this, so.
Yeah, well, like it's an accessory apartment.
Gotcha.
The distinction, accessory to the house.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Anyone else, Carrie?
I believe that was the only one.
Okay, any other questions or comments from board members? If not, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay. We'll go around the table here. Eldad?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
And I'm yes, so it's 4-0 to close the public hearing. We have a resolution that's been prepared by staff pursuant to our request. We've had a chance to look at it. I believe the applicant, I hope, has had a chance to review it as well. Do we have any questions, issues, comments on the resolution that's before us?
I have none.
No, bless you.
Oh,
Okay.
Not you, Bob. Sabrina was.
Well, Chuck, you could just be really happy that they're approving your project.
No, it was
Thank you.
no, it was Bob. I don't know if you saw it, but Sabrina was sneezing, and I said, "Bless her." And it's not about the project; it's about.
That's okay. You can bless us all. Every little bit helps.
Bless this mess, as they say. Okay. Is there a motion then to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Okay, second?
Who moved that?
I think Tom did.
Dick. Oh,
Dick.
Tom can have credit.
Exactly.
thank you.
So Tom's getting credit. And then Dick, would you like to second Tom's motion?
No. Yes, I mean.
Okay. getting bitter here. Okay, we'll take the vote on this. Dick,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Eldad,
Yes.
and I'm yes. So 4-0. I think we're all set. So Chuck, thank you. Good work. And off we go.
Same to Bob and Sabrina. I mean, a lot of words on those papers and a lot of work. Thank you, guys.
Anytime,
Right.
Chuck. It was a
Thank you
pleasure.
all.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome, Chuck. Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, we go to our next matter, and this is a informal appearance before the board. This is Nikic, 8 Cynthia Court. This is an application for a site development plan and final subdivision plat approval, Brandywine subdivision, lot number 6. And we heard this also on September 8. So we have a changed application, I believe. So perhaps, is the applicant on?
Yes, how you doing?
There you are. Great.
So good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me better. I was having a bit of mic issues last time I came on. Yeah, so we decided to remove the pool and put a little more effort in that down the road. We definitely appreciate all your input, and we will take that when we look at that closer. So right now we're looking just to kind of address the site issues, the encroachments. I believe, judging by the town engineer's memo, that we did take care of all the stormwater pipe repairs. The last thing, of course, that's left on Bob's memo is getting the declaration for the clearing lines, which we will do. And we also had a memo from Dennis, which had a few things about sizes of trees, spacing, but since having discussions with the client and also the landscape architect from my office, we felt that the best way to approach this is maybe just make a donation to the tree bank fund. The lot is very wooded. We're not going to get anything to grow around the edges of the property. So that's where we stand now. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Good. Sabrina, any issues? Anything to emphasize for us?
No, not really. It's just a matter of the applicant, is before you. They narrowed the project, and I just highlighted for you in my memorandum the changes to the original approvals based on the shift in the clearing and grading limit line and what they're looking to achieve. So it's a matter of the board agreeing to the amended clearing and grading limit line.
Well, and also, I guess, do we have a change in the steep slope application because of the changes here too?
Yes, the steep slopes and the number of trees have changed as well.
Okay.
So, but as previously stated, given the change in the project, there's no impact on coverage or building coverage or development coverage. It's just a matter of the line and how it affected the steep slopes and some additional trees that were removed.
Right.
You are seeing this retroactively. So, the trees have already been removed.
Right, and the slopes have been impacted, et cetera. This is just quantifying what the impact was. Great.
Correct.
Yeah, I
Trying
understand.
to set the record straight, if you will.
Great, thank you. Bob? Anything else? Any other points? The only issue is, I guess,
You're mic'd up, Bob.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I have no comments other than the comments Sabrina just raised with the clearing and grading. If the planning board is comfortable with the new limits, the only thing we would need was a declaration sent to town council and an amended clearing and grading limit line map. And that's all I have on this.
All right. And Dennis, what are your thoughts on the tree bank solution that the applicant is proposing?
I guess at this time, if there's nothing else proposed and, the dwelling is there, I would agree that, which I think I had made mention of in my last memo, that, the character of the area is a deciduous woodland. So, to me, when you start jamming in all those evergreens in this setting, it would be to, screen something. And in this case, it's not that the, dwelling or the structure is what went over. It was the level of disturbance that, obviously was going to be stabilized and restored. So at this time, if that's what they're willing to do, I'm fine with that. I just, to my point in my memo, and I guess this is reflected on sheet 2 of 5, And I also went back to look at the plans for Lot 8, and the factor that you divided by, which is what we typically divide by, to define a tree, is 2.5, and that's what you had done on Lot 8. So with respect to just determining the number of trees that would be subject to the donation to the tree bank fund, I'm just going to request that you amend in your chart. You have still total 4-inch minimum trees required to be replaced, and it's really a 2.5 factor, so that's just going to raise the number of trees. So that's, if you're going that route, that's my only comment.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. We already actually started changing it, taking out the landscape plan, and I have that number. And I looked into those existing trees that you had mentioned. 2 are missing. So I will get those revised plans to you ASAP.
Okay. Thank you.
I had a question, and this is probably for Bob. And it had to do with the pictures of the pipe that was being placed in the downhill section. And there was some reference that the rebar would be pinned. When it's all completed, it looks like we have forms around this pipe. Will this be encased in concrete, or has it been encased in concrete? That the stormwater pipe that goes down the hill that's shown here in the pictures?
Yes, yes, it was.
Okay, it's all been encased? It's already done?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. No problem then. Thank you. Anyone else? Any questions, comments?
Yeah, I just need a clarification. The big red box that's heading southeast from the building, that's where the septic system is, correct?
I'll open up the plan now.
Well, let me see. I don't know if you can see it. It's right. The house is up here. All right. And then there's this big box. There we go. Thank you. That box there.
Yes, you are correct. That's the septic system, which has already been installed.
Okay.
So
It's been installed. So the whole system has been installed.
Yes.
And so therefore everything has been cleared and graded for that. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Does that include the expansion?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Those lines do include the inspection. You can see the lines are right on top of each other. We didn't encroach anywhere down there.
Pretty much. Yep. I'm just curious how this works. This is probably for staff. Under the site development plan application on page 4, the question is, will development on the subject property involve any of the following? Slopes of 15% or greater. The answer is no. But there was adjustments made to the original steep slope. So is the answer no, or is the answer yes? Because it is more than 15%.
Well, there's lots of the slopes here that are actually exceed 35% too.
Yeah, I'm just wanting to make sure the form is correct.
Yeah.
I actually had asked that the plan be amended to include a calculation of the difference in the steep slopes in each of the categories in my memo, because I did the math and I calculated it, but it would be nice if there was that difference on the site plan.
Thank you.
I added that, Sabrina, and I will also get those plans to you ASAP.
Okay. No worries.
Okay. Jennifer, do we have to go to public hearing on this?
Yes, yes, you do. So
Okay.
the next step, if you're satisfied, would be to schedule a public hearing.
Okay, thank you. Are we satisfied and are we ready to schedule a public hearing?
I've got some questions about the trees again, if I may. Somehow we went pretty quickly from installing some evergreen trees to jumping right to, unless I'm mistaken, tell me if I'm wrong, jumping to not installing any trees and making a donation to the tree bank. That was a pretty quick transition that I think has happened since our conclusion, that's happened since our last meeting and discussion on this subject, on this application. And I'd just like to, and I think the statement, there were 2 statements. One statement was made by the applicant, which was that, I think, correct me again if I'm wrong, that they're really, there's there's no room to put 5 more trees on the property? Help me out with all of this, if you would.
Well, it would require, I believe, after the 2 more added, it require around about 15 trees. And the entire property surrounding the dwelling and the lawn area is dense woods. And we're not looking to, plant them right in the very minimal lawn areas that we have on the property now. We already have some trees planting, and we have to give room for those to grow as well.
You
So
see the
we-
landscape? I'm sorry, it would help if you have a plan that shows that.
So these are the trees now. If you see, all the greens are the ones that are there now.
I can't see anything.
It's not coming
Yeah,
up
were you
yet.
going to share your screen?
Oh, maybe I forgot to share my screen. I'm sorry. There we go. Yeah,
Great.
so all these green are trees that are there now.
Okay.
And, we wanted to keep some lawn areas. At the moment, we do have tree plantings along this driveway that were part of the original construction of the dwelling. And we're just worried, they're not going to grow. There's just, we don't want to take up any more lawn area since there isn't much lawn area with more trees.
Could you zoom out with that drawing?
Sure.
And so those are trees that are sort of in the proximity to the house, but the rest of the property is heavily treed except for the steep slope area. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Bob, I'm good.
Okay. Anyone else, anything? Any questions? If not, Felicia and Sabrina, what should we do in terms of scheduling for a public hearing? It does not look like we need any more or any additional material. So
the only thing I want to inform the board in regards to your next meeting on October 20th, that is the night that the town board is opening up the public hearing on the form-based code. So I'm not sure if you want to schedule, right now you have, I think the resolution regarding Lamini on that agenda. I'm not sure if you want to add a public hearing on that evening as well, or you want to push this to your November 4th meeting. I leave that up to the discretion of the board as to whether or not you want to participate in that public hearing.
I'm going to want to participate in the public hearing. I mean, I know that it's already determined that I was mistaken. I thought we were involved agency, but Sabrina corrected me on that, but we are at least an interested agency.
interested, yeah. Mhm.
Yes.
So I feel as though it's appropriate for me anyway to participate, at least listen into that.
Yep.
Same here.
So let's push it over to the November 4th, and I think that's a very good thought, Sabrina. Thank you very much.
Right, and then another question too, I mean, because we do have the ability to push the Lamini resolution over to November 4th as well, if you would rather not to meet at all. That's really your discretion.
Thoughts
What
on
are we
that?
going to cover at Lamity? I mean,
It's a
they're still-
resolution.
It's a Bob, maybe you
Resolution.
wanna kind of review that with them, of what that is. I mean, I don't want to take the meeting time to talk about it, but there were changes that were discussed at the last meeting that Jen had provided guidance to the chairman about. And so we have just formalized that into a draft resolution for the board's consideration. And I'm not sure, and Jen, correct me if you know otherwise, if there's any time sensitivity with that, if it needs to be decided upon on October 20th, or whether or not we can move it to November 4th.
Well, I can say one thing to it, guys. It's required pavement work, and the pavement work is going to be pretty much out of commission once it gets past a certain date. So when I was speaking to Brad Schwartz, they wanted to do that sooner than later, because once it gets too cold, you can't do the asphalt.
What time is the public hearing scheduled with the town board? Is that 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock.
So perhaps we can meet at 6:30 and tackle
Yes.
Lamini and finish that? Does that make sense?
That does. Does
Is
that
that
work for the board members?
Yeah, I'm good. That's fine.
Yes.
It's okay.
So why don't we do that? We'll schedule just a brief meeting for October 20 at 6:30. And then for those who wish to stay, and I hope everyone does, we'll participate in the town board public hearing.
Great.
Okay. And again, we'll, this, I guess we'll schedule for November 4th, the NICIC, 8 Cynthia.
Now that means they have to get the revisions in, right?
Yeah, but I don't think there's very much.
There's not a lot.
Yeah,
No,
so it should be pretty quick.
And there's plenty of time.
Yeah,
no, this week. It's not much.
Yeah. Good, good. Okay, very good. We'll see you then.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
And we have next a request for an extension, time extension for approval. The first one is 767 King Street LLC, Chiselhurst subdivision lot number 6. This is a request for extension of approval of site development plan and building permit, 767 King Street, New York Route 120. I wonder on this one, we just saw this fairly recently for an extension. Is it possible just to give them a little bit more leeway? They're asking for 60 days. Do we have any issues if we want to grant an extension a little bit longer than 60 or even substantially longer than 60?
I don't have a problem with, going to 90. These folks are good enough to tell us what progress they've made.
Yep.
As opposed to the next one we're going to do. So I'm with it. I'm okay with that.
Is that okay, Tom and Eldad? Are you comfortable with that?
I am.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good. I mean, it's just rather than running people back and forth all the time. So is there a motion then to grant the extension of 90 days for 767 King Street?
Motion.
Second.
Or I guess around the table again. Dick,
Yes.
Eldad,
Yes.
Tom,
Aye.
and I'm yes, so that's 4-0. So that motion is carried and the extension is granted. The next item is the Newcastle Fire District number 1 fire station and related facilities at 491 and 495 King Street, Chappaqua, New York. This is a request for extensions of approvals, various and sundry. My understanding is that they're still working on, well, first of all, that has to be approved by the public, so that's an issue. But to Dick's point, there's not a whole lot here telling us what's going on. Maybe Bob or Sabrina, have you heard anything further in terms of where they are, what they're doing?
No.
Okay. Okay. The only thing I know is that there have been lots of meetings with the chiefs and whoever the boards and that sort of thing. And again, I think one of the issues that they've been working on is pricing it out so that they know what they can do for the public bond issue. But
And I'm sure the pandemic has delayed a lot of that too.
yes, yep.
So,
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Certainly don't want to rehear this application.
So, well, it's not clear to me. It shouldn't be clear to me. There's no reason for it to be clear to me, put it that way. Exactly what's going on with respect to the architecture of the building, the site plan. As I understood it, one of the reasons that the public balked was they're concerned about, I think, the cost. And unless the cost estimate was way, way off, it seems as though they're probably going through some redesign, and the redesign may be so significant that they come in with a new site plan, which would, if I'm mistaken, Sabrina, pretty much trigger starting over. Is that correct?
it may require an amended site plan approval.
Right. So,
But again, this is just kind of theorizing, I would assume, right now.
So is it a theory or is it a hypothesis?
We never tend to guess. The question is, whether or not you folks want to grant the approval.
Dick, I don't know whether it's an IE or an EG. Maybe you can help me out with that one.
God.
So, Sabrina, the reason I bring it up and everyone is that we sometimes worry that these extensions go on so long that certain things that we had approved in the past, we maybe, 2 years down the road would look differently at because conditions, et cetera, have changed. In this particular case, I guess I'm suggesting that what we're going to see is so changed anyway that it will in effect be a new site plan, and so I don't see any reason not to grant them an extension.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. I appreciate Tom's comments relative to mine, but I think that we should alert the fire department that that we may have an interest in what they come up with in the near future, and that we may want to see them again.
Well, there's only certain, that it'll be interesting to see whether they're, willing to daylight that or not. I mean, maybe they're just not prepared yet to
share,
right?
Yep, okay. All right, well, is there a motion to grant the extension that's been requested though by the applicant?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, around the horn. Tom?
Yes.
Eldad?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes, if there's going to be an alert to them written, so they are sent an advisory that we may be interested in what they come up with in the near term.
Why don't we, with this time extension, we can send a note that says for any future extensions, more information regarding where you are in your process will be required.
Okay, that's a nice compromise.
Which we just did recently on another extension.
Yes. So when we send them the documents, it says that they received their extension, whether it be an email or a paper copy, we can include that statement and require them to give us more information next time.
Okay, good.
If there is a next time.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Dick, that's yes.
Yes.
With that addition. Okay. Is that okay, Dick, Tom and Eldad?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm yes on that. Okay, very good. Whatever it is, we just voted on is approved. Okay, our last item is minutes from the July 21, 2020 meeting. Are there any substantive issues? There's probably a couple of typos that people picked up, which we could send to Felicia. Did you get mine last time, Felicia? Did it work out? Could you read my scribbles?
Yes, actually, it worked out well. Thank you. Just let me know who has corrections so I make sure to follow up.
I have one or two that don't need much discussion, but I don't understand, I guess.
Okay.
Page 1 of 10, line 48. We need the applicant needs to obtain a SWIP from it's an approved SWIP, right? That they need to get?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It can be
Okay.
approved.
All right, I'll add that.
Yep. Okay.
And then I have one that involves Bob Cioli. Again, small. This is on page 5, line 13. Well, I start with line 12. Mr. Brownell noted that a lot has changed. Mr. Cioli disagreed. I think, Mr. Cioli, I am wondering whether you disagreed with Ms. Jusite, or whatever her name is.
I don't know. That's a good question. That might be the case.
Yeah, that should be clarified.
It's got to be clarified in there. Yes, I agree.
I don't know what the thinking was, but I looked at that and my feelings were so hurt that
I don't think I ever disagreed with you, actually.
I couldn't remember, but there's always a first time.
You disagreed with Ms. Ducati's statement.
Yes.
I agree with you, Ms.
Okay,
Sabrina.
I will make sure that's clarified.
You might want to add, and agreed with Mr. Brownell.
That's right, add that in.
That's not necessary. Because my statement was next to nothing. Actually, it was a lot.
Okay. Anyone else, substantive issues?
Bob, I have a couple.
Sure. Please.
Page 4 on line, I guess it's line 21. It reads, the applicant cannot approach the ZBA. I think this was a comment that you were making, Sabrina. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It says the applicant cannot approach the ZBA until the board is comfortable with the plan. Is that true, or is it the applicant should not, or may prefer not to?
It's the applicant probably should not,
Right.
not cannot.
Mm-hmm.
Sabrina wouldn't say that.
I would not say the applicant can't.
Right, okay, good, thank you.
Thank you.
There's another one here. Sorry,
Don't be.
my pages are sticking together. Page 6, line 30. It says, Mr. Curley noted that the Croton Aqueduct runs down Mr. Grory's driveway. No, it doesn't. Well, I don't think it does. I know it runs down mine, and that was my comment. But it was really just an anecdotal comment anyway, so I would just think it'd be reasonable to strike that sentence, beginning Mr. Curley and ending across the street.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, we wouldn't do a site visit unless this project comes back to us soon. Is that what we're
Right.
thinking?
Yeah, the idea was to see the revised plans in response to our
Yeah.
comments. And then we would get out there and take a look at it with, and I think they were instructed to provide some options. You know, look at the access off of, was it Woods Road? I think it was Wood Road. I don't know how happy they were with that, but I think the owner indicated that he heard us and he would consider these things. So I think it would be much more beneficial to have that information, the alternatives in front of us when we go out there.
I agree.
Yeah.
Page 7, line 55. This is just I think it's a missing verb. Towards the end of that line, it says they not here tonight. I think it needs to see, obviously needs to be they are not here.
Okay.
Line 45, same page. Mr. Curley stated that for the present to be rejected, the applicant would need to be distinctively different. I think I asked, Mr. Curley asked for I was really asking, I think I was asking, in this case, Clinton Smith, about the obligation of the board with respect to the previous application and what effect that would have on our work tonight on the current application. So it was a question. Mr. Curley asked,
Okay.
if the president, for the president to be rejected, et cetera.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would say, ask whether for the precedent to be rejected. Yeah, proceeding.
Makes more sense.
Yeah.
Page 8, line 32. Chairman Kirkwood asked if there was previously, Chairman Kirkwood asked if there was previously a tennis court on this property. Bob, are you asking if there was a tennis court on this property before, or a tennis court in the previous application?
Tennis court in previous application, correct. Yep.
All right, so I'll change it to on the previous application.
Yep. Very good. Thanks, Tom. That's a good clarification.
I think there's just one more. And I think this is just a phrase which needs to be corrected. Line 22, it says to see this.
What page?
What page?
I'm sorry, page 9, line 22. Mr. Barrett, this is the sentence begins in line 21. Mr. Brown, I'll explain that Mr. Barrett that he would like to see this in words for the record. You made an improvement. I think it would probably be better to, that he would like to see in words for the record that the improvement was made. That's just,
Okay,
Yep,
got it.
super, very good.
that's all.
I have a couple of minor typos that I'll just send over to you, Felicia.
Okay.
That's not good. Okay, terrific. Thank you, Tom. Anyone else? Eldad, Dick?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm shocked, though. I really am shocked. We got all that done by 8 o'clock, 1 hour. That's really wonderful.
Yep.
Good
So,
planning, everybody.
Yeah. With that amendment, with those amendments, is there a motion to approve the minutes of July 21?
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay. I guess we go around the horn again. Dick?
Yes.
Eldad?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm yes, so it's 4-0. And we've decided then to change our meeting on October 20th to 6:30 so we can accommodate accessing the public hearing with the town board on the proposed code for downtown. By the way, if you haven't signed up, there are still 2 more sessions on the presentation of the code to the public. I was unable to make the last one, but I think I'm signed up for the next one, and I hope the next one after that as well. So
They're also available for replay at chappaqua.forward.org.
oh, good. Okay,
Great,
great.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Didn't know that.
Where are they available?
chappaqua.forward.org. Or
Thank
through
you.
the town of Newcastle website.
Yeah.
On the homepage of the town site, it's in the news section.
Right. So these are 90-minute sessions. There are 3 altogether. And the second one is what, next Thursday, I think?
The second one is
This
this
Thursday.
upcoming Thursday
Right.
at 4 p.m.
Right, 4 to 5:30.
Correct.
And then the next one is daytime, wasn't it?
It's the morning. It's 10 to 11:30.
Right. So I encourage all of you to take a look at them either live or later on in recorded fashion. We are, as Tom mentioned, we are an interested agency in this process.
Say, Bob,
Yes.
just for a matter of interest, for those who care to look, there is maybe most of you know about it already. There is a project that Mount Kisco is working on. The name of it is, I think it's Kirby Commons. And it's a major residential mixed-use development, which is going on in the parking lot right next to their train station. And I think there are 100 and something units, or quite a few units in it, 600 parking spaces, structured parking. I mean, I think that it's very interesting to look at it and get a feeling for, what may be coming to our town next. With respect to, I'm not prognosticating here, but the trends are that this may be, where we're going. And right now, and Sabrina, maybe you know more about this than I do, but right now they have only agreed to let the prospective developer access the property to do soil borings and do site investigations so that they can complete their package and then come back. It hasn't appeared before their planning board yet.
Not yet. But I want to caution kind of what you just said, Tom, in the sense that the rezoning is not an automatic development opportunity at our train station or on our public property. It is being considered because it is part of the overall plan, but there are many steps that have to occur before the town would enter into any sort of discussion and community discussion about what could happen at the train station.
Yes, but the first step, which is rezoning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which eventually becomes essentially going through the process that everyone would have to go through. And I think on town property, it wouldn't be any different than a private property, I'm guessing, with respect to the planning and approval process. Rezoning is a statement of intent, just straightforward statement of intent. And it opens the door to some development. And this is a 4 or 5 story development, at least that's what the images show. Just for a matter of interest, so that we can look at it and and, project what may be coming down the road. I think it's a positive. Actually think it's a positive step, because that's the intent of the zoning, is to get more residential downtown and to help in downtown Chappaqua and to help out with, the emergence and all of that. So it would be interesting to follow what their process is and learn from what's going on there, to be better prepared for in the eventuality that, this thing takes off the way I think the town board would like housing to come into town, to be better prepared for that. And I think it'd just be helpful.
Yeah, they have, Mount Kisco has conducted their process a little bit differently. They have targeted their lands, not the entirety of their hamlet, and they have, they hired what's called a master developer to focus on their train station property.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can you, when you say they've hired a master developer, does that mean a master developer who's going to develop the project, or a master developer to advise them in a master plan for
A
development?
master developer who will develop the project.
They hired him?
They had let an RFP. I don't know where it stands.
Interesting. Okay, thanks.
Okay, very good. All right, is there a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Very good. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
See you in a few weeks.
Good night.
All right.
Good night.
Good night now. Take care.
Aye.
Good night.